One look at Child of Light and I was immediately intrigued. How can one say no to the beautiful hand-painted backdrops and its childish yet endearing atmosphere? Fortunately, behind all this shiny wrapping lies a solid RPG. You take on the role of Aurora, who because of a sickness falls into indefinite sleep and wakes up in a foreign, magical land far removed from her past life. She is then tasked to save this new world from encroaching darkness by retrieving the stolen sun, moon, and stars, and eventually go back to the world she once lived in. It's your typical fantastical fairy tale, and it doesn't try to be anything more. Throughout your journey, you will meet and be joined by the world of Lemuria's curious inhabitants, and the interactions between them are some of the most witty and interesting in recent memory. Almost every piece of dialogue in this game rhymes, giving the player the sense of playing one giant interactive poem. It is the stuff of dreams. This breaks traditional script conventions for video games, and it's a more refreshing experience because of it. I do have the feeling though that the narrative is held back because of it, so it doesn't always work in the game's favor. Despite that, the game is paced wonderfully. I didn't want to put the controller down to see what happens next. Gameplay harkens back to the traditional JRPG of the PS2 and PS1 days. The turn-based system is most similar to Final Fantasy X, where players know which order characters will attack and accordingly should take certain actions to manipulate the timeline to defeat enemies effectively. Being the Child of Light, Aurora, armed with an oversized sword, wields the power of light. You will be joined by other characters that have their own utility spells, and dynamically swapping each one out depending on the situation is key to winning battles. They all have their own uses, so much so that I've probably used all of them equally except maybe for the golem from the pre-order DLC. The combat gets surprisingly deep and frantic in the later acts, so there is a lot of payoff for mastering the system. The game also relies heavily on the use of Igniculus, a cute blue firefly Aurora uses to solve puzzles, blind enemies, and heal your party. It's a simple mechanic that separates Child of Light from other RPGs. Battles are a little too easy on normal difficulty, so those looking for a challenge who do not mind sacrificing pacing should play on hard. However, bosses do pose a challenge even on normal difficulty, so it isn't completely a breeze. There isn't much else to do in Lemuria. A few side quests called plights can be done during or after the final events of the game, and collectibles come in the form of confessions which offer tidbits of the game's lore. There is also a small crafting system where you combine gemstones called oculi and equip them to your characters for different status buffs, like adding elements to your attacks, increasing experience gain, or increasing spell power. It isn't particularly deep, but players who want to maximize their party strengths may find this system worth their time. You've probably noticed by now that the game looks incredible. It's like watching the artist's concept art come to life. The world is fully realized and the animations are smooth. The music kicks in at all the right times, making for some memorable moments. The Ubi art framework engine last used in Rayman Legends deserves all the praise it's been getting, and I wouldn't mind seeing it more going forward. There's also some light platforming involved, and it's important to note that there are some tense platforming sections even if Aurora has the ability to fly. Child of Light isn't just beautiful to look at, it has all the bells and whistles that make a great RPG and then some. For such a small game, it is surprisingly long, with my first playthrough clocking in at around 12 hours. If you like RPGs and like to experience a fresh take on the genre, get Child of Light because it is delightful. For more PS4 game reviews, please subscribe to our channel. Also, join our Facebook group link below.